Hi, fellow readers. Jay and Stephanie here, and we are, I don't know what chapter this
Chapter
is.
8.
Chapter 8 of Hathaway Ever After, and we have something fun planned today.
Yeah, so today we're going to do our top 10 books slash series of 2025. A little tough to whittle it down and kind of rank them, but I think we've come down with our final list.
This will also be spoiler free. I know I hate going through Instagram and not seeing that it's spoiler free and then listening to something and being disappointed. So, spoiler free mini reviews, I guess.
So we're excited for this one. Had a little more planning for this one than any of the other ones, really. So here we go. All right, so here we go with our top 10 of 2025 for each of us. Also, we don't know each other's lists yet, so that's going to be kind of fun for us to see what we picked. We do know that there's one book that we both have.
And that's only because when I went to get it on the shelf to add to my stack, it wasn't there.
Yeah, I already had it, so we're going to have to share that one.
Yeah.
And
I think we probably can guess some that are in each other's lists.
Yeah, of course. I mean, know my number one, I'm sure. And
yeah.
I'm sure anyone that's seen us or has talked to me knows. But
yeah.
All right, here we go.
So, number 10 for me was Silver Elite by Dani Francis. This was a debut book for her. There was actually some speculation on who this author even is. Some people think it was a rather famous author who was writing under a pen name. But this is a sort of a dystopian fantasy. I really enjoyed it. It was entertaining. There was world building, but it wasn't super complex. It doesn't sort of take itself too seriously. So it's not like high fantasy. You're not going to be confused about the world building. I actually wish there was more in it, but I really enjoyed it. I think I finished it really quickly. This is the first in a series, so the second one should be coming out. I think it's called Broken Dove. Should be coming out next year. So, number 10.
All right, so my number 10 is actually a wild card that made it in at the last second. Just finished reading it, and it is Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. So this might just be recency bias, but I really, really enjoyed this. I thought things that make it novels a great novel, it had it all. It was witty, it was funny, it was heartfelt, and it's a great story paired with excellent writing.
Was that one of the ones on your...
A big surprise for me and a surprise entry into this list. And yeah, so this is, like I mentioned before, one of the books of the 50 great American novels that are on the puzzle that I put together. And so this was the first one of the ones that I hadn't read for me to try out, and I think it deserves a spot on the puzzle. I think that's kind of like what I'm going for with reading these, is to try to decide if it really deserves that spot. And so I think this one really did, and it was really well done. It would be one that I think that you would really enjoy. So, number 10.
All right, my number 9 pick is one of my favorite authors that we talked about in our last Not So Newlywed Game, but my number 9 pick was The Future Saints by Ashley Winstead. This book actually isn't out yet. It comes out at the end of January, so I don't know if that's cheating or not. Sorry. But this book was really good. Ashley's writing... you can just tell that she went to school to be a writer. It's a new kind of book for her. She's very well known for her thrillers, so this was sort of venturing into some fiction, contemporary fiction for her. It deals with grief and loss, and she herself was actually going through the loss of her father when she was writing this, so I think a lot of the feelings and emotions in this book just feel really authentic, and it also has to do with the music industry. So if you were fans of something like Daisy Jones and the Six, you would probably love this book as well. Just overall, a really, really good read.
Awesome. Go Ashley.
Yes.
All right, so my number 9 was my book of the month for October, and that was The Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. And Stephen Graham Jones is a new author for me this year. Heard about him through the Discord, through the Book Street Discord, and a lot of people really enjoying his work. And another book that kind of got a little screwed because I haven't read it yet, and I might read it before the end of the year, and it could make it into the top 10.
No, that's been sealed.
Yeah, the Only Good Indians. I'm excited to read that, but I really love the Native American culture and like imagery, like I've talked about before with The Devil in Southpaw by Brandon Hobson, which was also an honorable mention for this list. It was so tough, but just the combination of that and the writing and the story just made this a really great horror story. That was I don't know if I say a lot of fun, but it was very, very good. So I'm excited for The Only Good Indians and to read more SGJ.
Nice. All right, number 8 for me is actually our book that
there it is.
There it is that we share on this countdown. So I'm guessing that Jay ranked it higher on his list, but this was my number 8, Mark Lawrence, The Book That Wouldn't Burn. This book was a buddy read for us, and you can fill in the gaps when it's your turn to talk about this book. But this book, I feel like, set the bar really high for the library trilogy. It's obviously a ton of world building, even though I feel like it takes place in sort of the same area, but it's, very complex. I love the way that he writes. It just is very lyrical, feels like you're reading prose. I also enjoyed just the way that he could keep you guessing, like you think you've got something figured out and you don't. That's what made it a really fun buddy read for me. Maybe that's why I also ranked it really high, because we were able to talk through it together. We try to stay on the same pace most of the time when we're doing a buddy read, but anyway, this would be my number 8. And the second book fell a little short of the bar that he set with this first book, but I feel like that's happens a lot in second books in a series. We're finding it out
right now.
Yes, with our current read. But anyway, number 8.
So number 8. No,
I was like, wait a second.
All right, number 8 for me was, and I had to cut a few other Stephen King books out. I read quite a few of them this year, but number 8 for me is Needful Things by Stephen King. The size of this book, when you're reading it, it does not feel that way at all. It's just such a constant page turner, and this an awesome story. Again, don't want to give away too much. It was I read it pretty soon after I read S.A. Cosby book, All the Sinners Bleed, which had a lot of similar themes, and so that was cool to kind of have those parallels. But just King, this is him at his best to me, and I really, really enjoyed Needful Things. Yeah. Great King book.
The S.A. Cosby book was actually an honorable mention for me.
Oh,
it almost made it into the top
great.
10. Yeah, it's really good.
Virginia author.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. My number 7 book, I have talked about this when we were talking, I think, about our current reads, maybe in October, but the Lion Women of Tehran by Marjan Kamali was my number 7 pick. This book was historical fiction, follows 2 friends from the 1950s in Iran through present day. So it follows them through a lot of political turmoil, through class differences, through friendships, through relationships, and it was just a really beautiful read. This author also wrote a book, I think it's called The Stationery Shop, that I have not read yet, but added to my list since reading this one. But it was just sort of a beautiful portrayal of friendship. So
number 7 for me, Flags of Our Fathers. I guess this is the first nonfiction book in my list so far. We'll see if there's any more. But of all of the World War II books that I've read this year, and probably ever, this book, it was just the story is so incredible, because it's something that a lot of people, everyone knows the picture, if you see the picture of Iwo Jima, but the story behind the flag raisers and about their lives, their of what led to them getting to where they were in that situation. And it's just amazing. Everything that a World War II book has to offer, or really just, I guess, a military history book in general. It was just incredible. Written by one of the flag raisers' sons.
Oh,
So one of
cool.
the ones that survived. It was written by his son, and just so well done. I could not praise this book anymore. It's up there with Black Hawk Down for me.
One thing I forgot to mention in The Lion Women of Tehran too is be prepared to be hungry when you read that book, because throughout the book she talks a lot about Persian cuisine, and so it just made me hungry reading that.
Flags of Our Fathers did not make me hungry.
No. Hungry for knowledge.
Hungry for glory, maybe.
Okay, number 6. This book comes from a series, and I read the entire series this year. I started it at the beginning of the year, but this book was probably my favorite one in this series, and this series is also probably one of my favorite series ever. So, Queen of Shadows in the Throne of Glass series. This book was my favorite because I think in this one we see a lot of character development going on. There's a lot of character reunions, and there are just some really pivotal action moments that happen in this book. You know, before you get to this book, you're just like waiting for things to happen, and this book, I think there's just like a ton going on in it. So this one was my favorite one of the series, and obviously one of my favorite ones of the year.
Wow,
so
I'm surprised it's only 6. There must be some good ones coming up.
6, yes, we'll see.
And sidebar, I'm trying really hard. I'm trying my best. It's something that you probably realized, but I haven't talked about yet. I'm trying so hard to not say favorite and love. So something we
Wait,
joke
did I
about
say it
that
a lot in this
you just
one?
said favorite, and then it just made me think like, oh, I'm trying so hard not to say favorite, and then you
But
just
these
said it.
are
Now
our
it's in my head,
favorites.
and now I'm going to say favorite a lot, probably.
But now
I was
it's
gonna do it
okay,
anyway.
because each of these are your favorites.
Yeah, these are the favorites of the year. So, all right, so number 6, and from like the middle ones, it's tough because they could pretty much go in any order.
Right.
But number 6 for me was Pet Sematary. Now, this was not a great time for me to read Pet Sematary, having at the time a 2, almost 3-year-old. So that was a little rough, and other aspects of this book actually kind of freaked me out more than that would, or that did. But just a book that leaves a huge impression on you, and some of, again, King's like heyday best writing, absolutely worthy of a spot on this list, and on like top King books that I've read of all time. So yeah, and a little bit and a briefer, yes, and also you got this for me, I think, for my birthday last year. So yeah, it's just such a cool cover. I love these editions. And
Cruising into the top 5. Right? We're at 5.
5.
Yeah.
Yep, 5.
Okay. So my 5th book of the year is also from a series, from one of my, again, a series that I really like. I think the first book in this series, when it came out, was the book that really made me remember why I loved reading so much. So number 5 for me is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This is actually a really pretty edition. But this book was also a fun read for me because I got to go on my girls' weekend. We, 2 of my friends and I went away, and we just spent an entire weekend doing girl things and reading Onyx Storm. So, but this one I loved because it really, this series redeemed itself. The one before this, Iron Flame, again, it was the second book in a series, Iron Flame was. And
tough spot.
Iron Flame just felt like there was just a lot of like, they were like building things up, and then when you got to this book, there was a lot more action going on. There were some pretty pivotal moments. We had a lot of questions answered, but this one also left off on a cliffhanger. If you know, you know. And also really secured, sorry babe, Zayden Ryerson as a top book boyfriend for me. So
he's not real, so
in my head he is.
It's
Anyway.
my version of the State Farm.
Number 5.
That really can't hurt me. All right, so number 5 for me, the book has made its way over here magically. No one saw that happen. The Book That Wouldn't Burn. Mark Lawrence, Library Trilogy, our buddy Reed. It's been talked about, so I probably won't say too much more guessing. I'm just gonna cut all this out. We're done.
Yeah.
So yeah, number
okay.
5.
And Mark, like I know him.
Yeah.
Mark Lawrence has also been really interactive on social media, and
really
he's
cool.
shared some of our posts and liked some of them. So I think that always makes it fun. That's one of the reasons I love Ashley Winstead so much, is because she's the same way.
Yeah.
It just helps you, I think, to connect with them.
Yeah.
So this is another thick girl, but my number 4 book is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. A moment for the book. This book was so beautiful to read. I think I was late to the game when I read this. It was out for about a year. Saw a lot of it on social media. Avoided all of the spoilers, which is what I try to do. But this book was such a beautiful story. Another dragon book. Fantasy, obviously.
Dragons are hot right now.
I know. Fantasy and
Literally.
this. Yes. Well, Xaden is not a dragon.
Oh no, I meant like fire.
Oh.
I didn't mean it like that, but I see what you're thinking.
Sorry.
Me, Xaden.
Anyway, no, I've lost all train of thought. So dragons, but completely different. The dragons in this book. This is I would classify this as high fantasy because there is a ton of world building in this book, and there's maps in this book. There's an awesome glossary and index and how to pronounce things in this book. But pro tip on that, she does put the glossary and the pronunciations at the beginning of the book, but I think that if you start with that, it can feel really overwhelming because as you're reading it, you're thinking, oh my god, I gotta remember this. My tip is just skip those pages, start with the story, and flip to it as needed, so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming. But her writing, again, is just something that seems very lyrical and prose-like, super immersive. There's also a beautiful love story in this book as well, but it's not just about the romance. It's a lot about the plot and the story. But this was the first in a series. The second one comes out next year, so that's obviously on my 2026 list. But
all right, so number 4 on my list is the second nonfiction and the last nonfiction. Why am I saying it like that? All right. So number 4 on my list is my second and last nonfiction book on my list.
check
Nailed
out
it
the
that
blooper
time.
reel later.
And that is one that's been highly acclaimed, and I always kind of looked at it and thought, well, how could that be, that good or that interesting based on the topic? But I read it, and it was incredible. And I think that anyone who is not even a fan of this author should read this book, and people that I know that have read it, they loved it as well. So that is On Writing by Stephen King. Third King book on here, but the only nonfiction. And the highest of the year for me, the Stephen King books. So he talks a lot more than just about writing on this book. So, you think, oh, it's just a book on writing. I might not be interested in that. But there's just so much here that anyone can pick up just from life and writing tips. And if you're an author, you absolutely, I think it's essential to read this because there's just so much you can learn from this. But even as someone who is not an author and would not dare to try, it was incredible. And I'm a King fan, so I know that might be a little biased, but people that aren't even big readers of King really enjoy this book. So, great book.
All right, top 3. We're
3.
getting there. So my these last 3, I really feel like could have gone either way depending on the day. I do feel like my top 1 book also, like you said before, could have some recency bias because it's one of the ones I just finished. But this book, my number 3 book, another one of my favorite authors, is T.J. Klune, and this was Somewhere Beyond the Sea. T.J. Klune in general, I think reading a Klune book, hang on, we have a visitor. You want to sit with Dada?
Buddy.
So, reading a T.J. Klune book, we're just going to keep going, feels like getting wrapped up in your favorite blanket with your favorite beverage, and it just is so, his writing and his characters and the things that he writes about is just so heartwarming. This was the second and final book in a duology. The first book, also one of my favorite books, was The House in the Cerulean Sea. That was one of my favorite reads last year. And this, even though it's the second book, was just as good. Clune has some of the most memorable and heartwarming characters. Chauncey, if you know, you know, and just deals with a lot of really tough things in a really inclusive way, and just makes you feel a little bit better about the world and the people in it when you read one of his books.
All right, so number 3 for me is a series, and it is actually a series that's an extension of another trilogy that I had read the last couple years by Joe Abercrombie, one of my favorites. So First Law was the original trilogy. Then there's 3 standalone books, and then there's Age of Madness. And I kind of missed the memo on the standalone books, standalone, leading up to Age of Madness. So I read Age of Madness first before I went back and read the standalone. So I have Age of Madness here, Wisdom of Crowds sitting in for the whole trilogy. Nice signed edition from my buddy Brian. He gave me this, Brian Paulette. Good man. I liked it more than First Law, and First Law was really, really good, but I just thought that he has gotten better and better, which is awesome, because a lot of times that doesn't happen that way. And so I thought this was an incredible series. Some of the most fun reading I've had this year. Obviously, it's in the 3rd spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, for grim dark fantasy, this is so good, and anyone that's into stuff like that should definitely check out Age of Madness if you haven't already.
All right, my number 2 book. I don't have it. I did let somebody borrow it.
Someone has it.
You can put it right here. And they have not returned it yet, Chris. So sometime if you want to return it to me. Anyway, this book is by Frederick Bachman. I know that he's an author both of us really like. And it is My Friends, which has gotten a lot of hype this year. I actually think it was also the Goodreads fiction, Goodreads Choice Awards.
Don't tell Hat.
Fiction book. I know.
It's not fantasy, so.
It's not fantasy. No, very much fiction. But the thing that I love about this book, and just about Bachman in general, is just his way to paint the world in such a beautiful way, and he has such a way with words and infusing humor and satire into sort of some of the darkest corners of the world. This particular book follows a group of friends throughout their life. They come from a pretty rough part of town, and it also deals a lot with the way that art can bring people together. So if you're into painting or even music, drawing, reading, writing, this book is just so beautiful. And the way that Bachman writes, when I turn the last page, he just writes books that make you just stare at the wall for a little while and contemplate life. But anyway, that was my number 2. It just makes you feel he makes you feel all the things. Oh, and that was the other thing. He just has a way of writing exactly what we all think in such a simplistic way. And you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I think about that.
Yeah, there's just so much humanity in his books. I feel like that's one thing I always think of when I think of Bachman.
Yeah.
Is how much the humanity just bleeds through in his writing. And that's kind of how I felt about my number 10 book, Middlesex. I kind of felt that a little bit with that kind of writing. So
yeah, well, you were the one that I think turned me on to Bachman when you gave me A Man Called Ove to read. So that was my first introduction to him, which I think is the best introduction.
Yeah, it's a great one for him. But we also love his other books. We love Beartown, or I love Beartown. And I've read that series, and it's great. He's awesome. So
yeah,
great number 2 pick.
Anyway,
I'll read it next year.
Yes, maybe.
All right. So my number 2 is actually back-to-back Abercrombie, and these could have gone either way, I think, but when I had finished reading The Heroes, which I also did in that goofy 6-7 video.
Oh.
It pulled that, which is crazy that it was that book, the way that worked, it ended up being my number 2 of the year. So that was really cool. But everything that I love and that I feel like a lot of people love about Abercrombie, this to me was like the pinnacle of it. Just such an awesome, different kind of story where it's basically, actually, I don't want to say what I was going to say because I don't want it to be a spoiler. But just all the things that people love about Joe Abercrombie and his writing and his style of fantasy, I think this really hits the nail on the head on that. And when I finished reading it, I was like, I think that was my favorite Abercrombie.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it was incredibly well done. Here we go.
Number
we
one.
We made it all the way. We made it to the end.
Number one, and I feel like our number ones are the least exciting because everybody already, the three of you that watch our channel, already
know mine.
Already know. I know. And if you watched like my fantasy roundup, this or that, or I think I've talked about it in every video that since then. But
I'll stop giving away all.
Sorry, those are just like hints so people can guess. So my number one 2025 edition is The Night and the Moth. Rachel Gillig, again, a moment for the book.
That helps. That adds to the...
It does. Her books are beautiful. Her Shepherd King series, which is one, I was looking for them, which is one I read last year. Another, she just does so well in like the gothic fantasy, romantasy realm. And this book I cannot wait. This is the first book in the Stonewater Kingdom series. The second book comes out next year. It is on my list. But her writing and her world building, I feel like I have said world building in every review because of all the fantasy that we read, but she just breathes life into every single page. You feel like you are there. It's immersive, and it's such a good, just the story. I'm trying not to give a lot away, but when you hear like gothic fantasy and you think like, oh, it's dark, there's like a ton of stone in the book, there's mist in the book, and you think, gosh, that doesn't sound pretty, but then
it's a hot topic in the book.
Yeah, but but then her writing is beautiful and her characters are beautiful, and there's a love story and the slow burn in this that is so beautiful as well. And again, if you know, a side character in this book sort of steals the show.
Number one of the year. Wow. Way to go, Rachel Gillig.
There you go.
Well done. So number one for me, to no surprise, I feel like to anyone this year, is Sun Eater. The whole series, read all 7 books this year, and a few of the, so that if we hadn't done series included in this, like 7 of my top 10 would have been Sun Eater. Yeah, so figured we'd do it this way instead. And so I've got Shadows Upon Time here that I recently finished. And I just love this series so much. Just confirmed it's my favorite series.
Of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think I've said that in another video, but from the beginning, from picking up Empire of Silence, I was just blown away. And then once I got to Howling Dark, I was like, wow, this is incredible. I love this. And I felt like nothing was going to beat Howling Dark for the rest of the year. And it's tough. These books are so hard to rank for me because they're all so, so good. And, there's not that much difference in them as far as like, how good they are. Mm-hmm. It may end up being my book of the year, may end up being Shadows Upon Time, just because I think of all the things around it, the completion of the series, how much it really made you feel and made me feel for the characters and the journey that I've been on with them. And then the gala experience too was another thing that I think that I will never be able to separate that from when I think about this series is that time I got to spend. I'm so grateful to to have been a part of that. I mean, just this incredible experience, and thank you for
Oh
the
yeah, I
ticket
bought you
for
that
my
ticket.
birthday, yep, and the weekend of watching Rory and
Oh, you mean
and,
just being like a parent?
and allowing me to go on that. So
Yeah.
that was such a great
We
time.
each got book weekends this year.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So it all worked out. But number one book of the year, or book and series,
Yeah.
we got Sun Eater and The Night in the Moth.
Night in the Moth. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Tell us what your favorite book of the year is, or your 10 favorite books of the year.
We'll gladly read 10 of your favorite books. Not read
Well,
them, but
I don't know if we'll read them.
No. I
we'll
mean,
listen to them.
Yeah, I meant the list. If you want to list 10, list 10.
Yes.
If not, one is great.
But thank you. We hope to have a few more videos out before the end of the year. But if not, this was a great way to end 2025.
It's a great way to end a video right here.
Yep.
Look at this timing.
You say bye?
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Oh, there goes the light. Well,
Bye.
see you next time.